The darkness of space had been quiet for 1,000 years. In the cold void between the stars, ancient listening posts continued their endless watch. Most of them belonged to the Vorthan Empire now. They had taken over the old human stations. After the last humans died out, Commander Tommen sat in his chair on the bridge of the warship, Thunder's Edge. His blue skin showed the stress marks that all Vorthons got when they worked too long without rest. The ship had been patrolling the outer rim for 6 months. Nothing ever happened out here. The rim worlds were empty, dead. Just like Earth. The communications officer looked up from her station. Her name was Nara, and she had been with Tamen's crew for 3 years. She was good at her job, but she looked confused now. "Commander," she said, "I'm getting something strange." Timon turned to look at her. "What kind of strange?" "A signal. It's coming from the Sol system." Every person on the bridge stopped what they were doing. The Sol system was where Earth was. Earth was where the humans used to live. But humans had been dead for 1,000 years. Everyone knew that. "Are you sure?" Tamon asked. Nara checked her instruments again. "Yes, sir. The signal is definitely coming from Earth." Tommen felt his hearts beating faster. Vorthans had 2 hearts, and both of his were racing now. "What does the signal say?" "It's in the old human language." "English," the translation says. "We remember, we return, we reclaim." The bridge was completely silent. Then everyone started talking at once. The weapons officer wanted to call for backup. Science officer said it must be a mistake. The navigator said they should run away as fast as possible. Quiet. Tommen shouted. Everyone stop talking. Send a message to High Command. Tell them what we found. Then set course for the nearest starbase. While his crew worked, Taman thought about what this could mean. Humans were supposed to be extinct. The galaxy had moved on without them. The Vorthons controlled the inner systems now. The Hadashi ran all the trade routes. The Meladi had taken over the outer worlds with their strange mind powers. But what if the humans weren't really gone? Far away on the Vorthan capital world, Doctor. Yuna was working late in her office. She was human, or at least she looked human. She was actually half Vorthon, but she looked like the old pictures of humans that everyone had seen in history books. Yoon Dashaw studied human ruins for a living. She was one of the few people in the galaxy who really understood what humans had been like. Most people thought humans were just another dead species. But Yuna knew better. Humans had been special. They were the ones who figured out how to travel faster than light. They built the first starships that could cross the galaxy in months instead of years. They created the communication networks that all the other species still use today. When humans started dying out, other species tried to copy their technology. Some of it worked. Most of it didn't. Copies were never as good as the original. Human devices. A message arrived on Yuna's computer. It was marked urgent and came from the High Command. She opened it and read about the signal from Earth. Her hands started shaking. She had spent 20 years studying human technology. She knew things about humans that other people had forgotten. Humans were not just smart, they were also very good at war. Before they started dying out, humans had been the strongest military force in the galaxy. If humans were really coming back, the galaxy was about to change in a big way. Yoon Dasha grabbed her coat and ran to her aircar. She had to get to the High Command building as fast as possible. They needed to know what they might be dealing with. Meanwhile, deep under the surface of Earth, President Jin-Woo walked through corridors that hadn't seen sunlight in centuries. The underground cities of Earth were huge. They stretched for hundreds of kilometers under the ground. Millions of humans lived down here. The surface of Earth looked dead from space. That was exactly what humans wanted other species to think. While the galaxy forgot about them, humans had been busy, had been learning. They had been building. They had been waiting. Jin-Woo entered a large chamber where hundreds of people were working at computers and control panels. This was the Global Restoration Council. These people had spent their whole lives preparing for this day. Status report, Jin-Woo said to his aide. The signal has been sent, sir. Our listening posts confirm that several alien ships detected it. The Vorthans are already moving to investigate. Good. How are our ships? The fleet is ready, sir. All captains are standing by for your orders. Ginwu nodded. Not yet. Then wonder for a while. Let them remember that they don't really understand what happened to us. The truth was that humans had never really been dying out. That had been a lie. A very big lie that took hundreds of years to set up. Humans had pretended to get sick and die while they were actually moving underground in 2 hidden colonies in other star systems. They watched as other species divided up the galaxy. They watched as aliens moved into old human worlds. And they learned about their enemies. Now humans were stronger than they had ever been. Their technology was 1,000 years more advanced than anything the other species had. Their ships were faster, and their weapons were more powerful. But most importantly, humans had something that other species didn't understand. They had patience. They could wait for the right moment to act. And that moment was now. Jinwu looked at the big screen that showed a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked all the human colonies that other species didn't know about. Blue dots showed alien military bases. Green dots showed major trade routes. Begin Phase 2, he said. All across the galaxy, things that had been hidden for 1,000 years started to wake up. Old human satellites began broadcasting signals. Abandoned human bases powered up their energy systems. Ships that looked like space rocks started moving toward important alien worlds. The galaxy was about to learn that humans had never really left. They had just been getting ready to come back stronger than ever. Back on the Thunder's Edge, Commander Taemin received new orders from High Command. He was to take his ship to Earth and investigate the signal. He was also told that Dr. Yuna would be joining his mission as an expert on human technology. Talk men didn't like this assignment. Something about the signal felt wrong. Humans were really back? Why announce it? Why not just attack without warning? Unless they wanted other species to know they were coming back. Unless they wanted to scare them first. As the Thunder's Edge jumped into hyperspace heading for Earth, Taemin had a terrible feeling that the galaxy was about to become a very dangerous place. 3 days after the signal from Earth, something appeared at the edge of Orthon space that made everyone stop and stare. It was a ship, but not like any ship anyone had ever seen before. The vessel looked like it was made of liquid metal that moved and changed shape. Sometimes it was long and thin like a spear. Sometimes it was wide and flat like a shield. The metal seemed to bend light around it, making it hard to look at directly. Admiral Keshra commanded the Vorthan Border Patrol. She had been in the military for 40 years and had seen every type of ship that flew in known space. But this thing was completely new. What are our sensors telling us? She asked her science officer. That's the problem, Admiral. Our sensors can barely detect it. So the ship seems to exist and not exist at the same time. The energy readings don't make sense. The strange ship sent a message. The voice that spoke was calm and human. This is Captain So Young of the human vessel. New Dawn. We request safe passage to Nexus Prime Station for diplomatic talks. Admiral Keshra felt her blood turn cold. Human ship, with a living human crew. After 1,000 years, New Dawn, this is Admiral Keshra of the Vorthon Border Fleet. You will submit to inspection and follow our escort ships to the nearest military base. The human captain's voice didn't change. We appreciate your concern, Admiral, but we will be proceeding directly to Nexus Prime. We invite you to escort us if you wish. Keshra was angry now. No one ignored Vorthon authority in Vorthon space. New Dawn, you will comply with our orders or we will use force. You understand your position. Admiral, please observe. What happened next would be talked about in military academies for years to come. The New Dawn suddenly split into 3 identical ships. Then those 3 ships became 9, and the 9 became 27. But the sensors showed that only 1 ship was really there. The others were some kind of illusion or projection. Yet each projection looked completely real and solid. All ships attack formation, Keshra ordered. Her 3 escort ships moved to surround the human vessel. They were fast attack cruisers, the best ships in the Vorthan fleet. Each one could destroy a battleship in a fair fight. The New Dawn didn't fight back, it simply moved. Ship flowed through space like water flowing around rocks. It dodged every weapon blast without seeming to try. When the Vorthan ships tried to surround it, the New Dawn was suddenly behind them. They turned to chase it, the New Dawn was already gone. Then the human ship did something impossible. It traveled from one side of the star system to the other in less than a second. No ship could move that fast. Laws of physics wouldn't allow it. How did they do that? Keshra whispered. Her science officer was staring at his instruments. Admiral, according to these readings, they didn't move through space. They moved space around them. The New Dawn sent another message. Admiral Keshra, we mean no harm to your ships or your people. We are proceeding to Nexus Prime. You are welcome to follow. The human ship then did something that made Keshra's heart stop beating for a moment. It opened a hole in space itself. The hole looked like a tunnel made of twisted light. The New Dawn flew into the tunnel and disappeared. A few seconds later, long-range sensors detected the ship arriving at Nexus Prime. The journey that should have taken 3 days had been completed in moments. At Nexus Prime Station, Ambassador Wu Jin stepped off the New Dawn onto the docking bay. He looked like a normal human man in his middle years. He wore a simple black uniform with no decorations or rank markings, but the beings who met him knew they were looking at something dangerous. Wu Jin moved with the confidence of someone who had never lost a fight. His eyes were sharp and seemed to see everything at once. The station commander was a Hedashi named Crystal Singer. Vex. The Hedashi were tall beings made of living crystal who spoke in musical tones. Vex had run Nexus Prime for 50 years and had never been afraid of anyone. Today he was afraid. Ambassador Wu Jin, Vex sang in his crystal voice. Welcome to Nexus Prime. The council chambers have been prepared for your presentation. Thank you, Crystal Singer. I hope this meeting will be productive for everyone. Word of the human ship's arrival spread through the station like fire. Within hours, representatives from every major power in the galaxy were demanding emergency transport. To Nexus Prime, the Vorthan Empire, the Hadeshi Collective, the Melody Consciousness, and a dozen smaller governments all sent their best diplomats. They all wanted to see what humanity had become. The council chamber was packed. Hundreds of beings from dozens of different species filled every seat. The room had translation devices, so everyone could understand each other. But today everyone was quiet. Ambassador Wu Jin walked to the center of the room and began to speak. 1,000 years ago, humanity withdrew from galactic affairs. You believed we had become extinct? This was not true. We simply chose to step back and observe. He activated a holographic projector. Images filled the air above the assembly. During our absence, we have not been idle. We have continued to develop our technology, our understanding of the universe, and our capabilities. The first image showed a human city underground, but this wasn't the primitive cave dwelling that some species expected. It was a gleaming metropolis, with buildings that seemed to float in the air and transportation systems that moved people through beams of light. We have learned to manipulate matter at the atomic level. We can create any substance we need from basic elements. The next image showed humans working with devices that transformed rocks into complex machines in seconds. We have mastered energy in all its forms. We can harvest power from stars, from the vacuum of space itself, and from dimensions that other species cannot even detect. The image changed to show human ships drawing energy directly from a star without being burned up. We have conquered time and space. We can travel anywhere in the galaxy instantly. We can slow down time or speed it up. We can exist in multiple places at once. The final image showed human explorers walking on the surface of a planet while the same people were simultaneously working in laboratories on distant worlds. The assembly was completely silent. Some of the alien representatives looked sick. Others looked terrified. Ambassador Wu Jin smiled. But perhaps you would like a demonstration. He spoke into a small device on his wrist. Admiral Kyung-ho, please show our guests the fleet. At first nothing happened. Then the lights in the chamber dimmed as massive shadows passed over the station's windows. Everyone rushed to look outside. Floating in space around Nexus Prime were 12 enormous ships. Each one was larger than anything in the current galactic fleets. They had appeared without making a sound or triggering any sensors. The ships were beautiful and terrible at the same time. Their hulls seemed to be made of condensed starlight. Energy patterns flowed across their surfaces like living things. These ships traveled here from Earth using folded space, Wu Jin explained. The journey took them approximately 3 minutes. Each vessel carries enough firepower to destroy a planet. Their shields can absorb the energy of an entire star. Admiral Kyung-ho's voice came through the station's communication system. Nexus. Prime, this is the human fleet. We are here to ensure the safety of our ambassador. We mean no harm to anyone unless they threaten us first. To prove his point, one of the human ships fired a single shot at a nearby asteroid. The asteroid didn't explode. It simply stopped existing. One moment it was there, the next moment there was empty space. Ambassador Wu Jin looked around the chamber at the frightened faces of the galactic representatives. Humanity has returned, he said quietly. We offer friendship to those who want it. We offer trade to those who need it. We offer protection to those who ask for it. He paused and his expression became serious. But we will no longer be ignored. The galaxy has changed in our absence. Now it will change again with our return. The meeting was over. As the representatives left the chamber, each one was thinking the same thing. The comfortable world they had known was ending. The age of human dominance was about to begin, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. News of humanity's return spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. Within 6 hours of Ambassador Wu Jin's presentation at Nexus Prime, every government, every military base, and every trading post knew that humans were back. The reaction was immediate and terrifying. On the Vorthon capital world, Emperor Zakthal called an emergency session of the High Council. The massive golden chamber filled with military leaders, scientists, and politicians. Everyone was talking at once and no one had good news. The stock markets have crashed, reported Finance Minister Velka. Trading has stopped on 47 worlds. People are selling everything and trying to buy passage to the Outer Rim. General Morden slammed his fist on the table. My fleets are ready for war. We should attack before they get stronger. Attack with what? Dr. Yuna asked. She had been invited to the council as the galaxy's leading expert on human technology. Did you see what their ships did to our escorts? Did you see them make an asteroid disappear? Emperor Zakthal raised his hand for silence. Dr. Yuna, in your opinion, how dangerous are these humans? Yuna looked around the room at the frightened faces. Your Majesty, I have studied human ruins for 20 years. I thought I understood what they were capable of. I was wrong. What we saw today suggests they are thousands of years ahead of us technologically. That's impossible, General Morden said. They've only been gone for 1,000 years. That's what we thought, Yuna replied. But what if they were never really gone? What if they were developing their technology in secret all this time? Before anyone could answer, alarms started ringing throughout the capital city. The massive defense screens around the planet activated, filling the sky with energy barriers. Happening? The Emperor demanded. A communications officer ran into the chamber. Your Majesty, human ships have appeared in orbit around 37 worlds. All of them are major trade centers or military bases. The ships aren't attacking, but they're just sitting there. General Dong Haiyan stood on the bridge of the human battleship Eternal Victory, watching the Vorthon defense fleet scramble to respond. To his presence, 12 Vorthon warships had surrounded his vessel, their weapons powered up and ready to fire. It was exactly what he had expected. Communications, open a channel to the Vorthon fleet commander, he ordered. The image of Admiral Keshra appeared on the main screen. She looked tired and angry. Human vessel, you are in violation of Vorthon space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. General Dong Haiyan smiled politely. Admiral, I am General Dong Haiyan of the Human Federation Defense Force. We are conducting peaceful observations of galactic military capabilities. We have no intention of attacking anyone. Then why are you here? To remind everyone that we exist. To show them that we can go anywhere we want, anytime we want. Admiral Keshra's face turned red with anger. You cannot just appear in our space. Without permission? Actually, we can. Would you like me to demonstrate? Before Kashra could respond, something impossible happened. The Eternal Victory was suddenly in 37 different places at once. Every sensor in the Vorthon fleet detected the ship in multiple locations simultaneously. Then, just as suddenly, all the copies disappeared except one. How did you do that? Keshra whispered. We learned to exist in multiple dimensions at the same time, Donghain explained calmly. Time and space work differently for us now. On the Hadeshi homeworld, the Crystalline Collective was holding an emergency assembly. The Hadeshi were a species that communicated through harmonic vibrations. When they were upset, their entire cities would ring like giant bells. Today, Capital City sounded like it was screaming. Crystal Singer Prime Harmony was the leader of all Hadeshi. She had lived for 800 years and had never experienced fear like this. Humans can travel our trade routes in minutes instead of months, reported Trade Director Resonance. They don't need our hyperspace gates. They don't need our navigation charts. They can go anywhere instantly. What does this mean for our economy? Harmony asked. It means we're finished. Our entire civilization is based on controlling trade. Between the stars, if humans can transport goods instantly, no one will need us anymore. At that moment, a human woman materialized in the center of the assembly hall. She didn't use a door or a transport pad. She simply appeared out of thin air. The Hadeshi all stopped their harmonic singing at once. The sudden silence was deafening. I am Trade Director Yuna of the Human Federation, the woman said. I apologize for the dramatic entrance, but your people don't answer communication requests very quickly. Prime Harmony found her voice. How did you get here? This chamber is protected by quantum barriers. Your barriers work against your technology, not ours. I'm here to discuss a business proposition. What kind of proposition? Yuna activated a holographic display that showed trade routes throughout the galaxy. Control most of the major shipping lanes. We respect that. We don't want to destroy your economy. We want to improve it. How? We can teach you to build better ships. Faster ships. Ships that can carry 1,000 times more cargo than your current vessels. In exchange, you help us establish relationships with your trading partners. Prime. Harmony was suspicious. And if we refuse, Yuna shrugged. Then you become obsolete. Your choice. Meanwhile, on the distant world of the Melody, something unprecedented was happening. The Melody were a species that shared a collective consciousness. Every individual Melody was connected to every other Melody through their minds. They had never experienced fear before, because fear required individual thought. But today, for the first time in their history, the collective mind was afraid. The Melody had built their empire by absorbing other species into their collective. They would capture individuals from other races and force them to join the shared consciousness. Over centuries, they had absorbed millions of beings and gained their knowledge and memories. But now they faced humans. And humans were different. Elder Mind Speaker Thrum tried to connect with the human ships that had appeared in their space. This was how the Melody always dealt with new species. They would invade their minds and take control. But when Elder Thrum reached out with his consciousness toward the human vessels, something terrible happened. The humans pushed back. Not only did they resist the mental invasion, they reflected it. Back with incredible force, Elder Thrum screamed as his own psychic attack hit him like a hammer. Around him, their Melody collapsed as the feedback tore through their shared consciousness. Captain. Biomin of the human ship Mind's Edge watched the Melody vessels drift helplessly in space. Target neutralized, she reported to her crew. There. Collective consciousness has been temporarily disrupted. How long will they be unconscious? Asked her science officer. It's about 6 hours. It's long enough for them to understand that they cannot control us the way they control other species. Back on Earth, President Jinwoo sat in his command center watching reports from across the galaxy. His plan was working perfectly. Status report, he asked his aide. All 37 demonstrations have been completed successfully. Ortha military. Forces are in full defensive positions. Adachi trade networks have suspended operations. The Malady Collective is in chaos. Any sign of organized resistance? Not yet, sir. They're all too scared to coordinate a response. Jinwoo nodded with satisfaction. Phase 3 can begin. Send word to Ambassador Wu Jin. It's time to present our terms. What if they refuse, sir? Jinwoo looked at the display showing human ships positioned throughout the galaxy. Each ship was surrounded by alien fleets that didn't dare attack. They won't refuse. Can't afford to. On Nexus Prime Station, Chancellor Dayun prepared for the most important diplomatic meeting in galactic history. She would be presenting humanities. Demands to representatives from every major government. The terms were simple, but non-negotiable. Humans wanted their old colonies back. They wanted recognition as the founding species of galactic civilization. They wanted access to all trade networks and scientific databases. Most importantly, they wanted other species to accept that humans were now the dominant power in the galaxy. Chancellor. Dayun looked out the window at the human fleet surrounding the station. Each ship represented technology that was centuries beyond anything else in known space. The other species had a choice to make. They could accept humanity's leadership and benefit from human technology and protection. Or they could resist and face the consequences. But as Dayun prepared her presentation, she knew the choice had already been made. The galaxy's power balance had shifted permanently. The age of human dominance had begun, and there was no going back. The meeting took place on a hidden asteroid base in the neutral zone between 3 different star systems. No government officially knew about this place. It was perfect for secret talks. Emperor Zakthal of the Vorthan Empire arrived first. His ship was disguised as a cargo freighter, but inside it carried the most advanced weapons his people could build. Not that weapons would help much against humans. Prime Harmony of the HFY Collective came next. Her crystal body rang with nervous energy as she entered the hidden base. She had never worked with the Vorthans before. The 2 species had been enemies for centuries. The last to arrive was Elder Mind Speaker, Thrum of the Malady. He still felt weak from the human psychic attack that had knocked him unconscious for 6 hours. His pride hurt worse than his head. I never thought I would see the day when we 3 would meet as allies, Emperor Zakthal said as they gathered in the small conference room. Desperate times, Prime Harmony sang in her crystal voice. The humans threaten everything we have built. Elder Thrum nodded slowly. They are unlike any species we have encountered. My people have absorbed the minds of hundreds of different races. But these humans, their minds are like fortresses, cannot break through their mental defenses. Their technology is beyond anything we understand, the Emperor added. My scientists have studied the sensor readings from their demonstrations. They shouldn't be able to do the things they do. We need a plan, Prime Harmony said. If we work together, perhaps we can find a weakness. What none of them knew was that Agent Subin was listening to every word they spoke. She sat in a nearby corridor, invisible to their sensors, recording everything through human technology that could hear through solid walls. Subin had been living among the Vorthans for 30 years. As far as they knew, she was Lieutenant Commander. Velsira, a trusted member of the Emperor's personal staff. She had helped plan military campaigns and had access to the Empire's most secret information. But she was really a human spy who had been placed there decades ago as part of humanity's long-term plan. Agent Subin spoke quietly into her hidden communicator. Control, this is Deep Cover 7. The coalition is forming as predicted. 3 major powers are planning joint resistance. The voice that answered her came from Earth. Understood, 7. Continue monitoring. Do not interfere unless directly threatened. Back in the conference room, the 3 leaders were making plans. The humans have superior technology, but they have one major weakness, Emperor Zakthal said. Numbers. There can't be more than a few billion of them. We have trillions of beings in our combined fleets. Coordinated attack on multiple fronts, Elder Thrum agreed. They cannot be everywhere at once. Prime Harmony's crystal body chimed with excitement. My people control the major trade routes. We can use our network to move fleets without the humans detecting them. They spent hours planning their strategy. The coalition of free worlds would strike at 12 different human positions simultaneously. Even with their advanced technology, humans couldn't fight everywhere at the same time, or so they thought. 2 weeks later, the coalition was ready to launch their attack. Over 3,000 warships from 3 different species had gathered in hidden locations throughout the galaxy. It was the largest military force ever assembled. Admiral Ji-hoon received the intelligence report while sitting in his office on the human battleship Time Zero. He read through Agent Subin's detailed information about coalition plans and smiled. "They think like primitives," he said to his aide. "They believe that numbers and conventional tactics will work against us." "What are your orders, Admiral?" "Prepare the temporal warfare systems. It's time to show them why humans don't fight fair." Admiral Ji-hoon's strategy was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of meeting the coalition fleets in battle, he decided to attack them in the past. Human scientists had learned to manipulate time itself. They could send ships and weapons backward through time to strike at targets before those targets even knew they were in danger. The coalition's first target was the human colony on Kepler 44 to be. Admiral Keshra led a massive Vorthon fleet of 800 ships toward the planet. Long-range sensors showed only a small human defense force waiting for them. "This will be easy," Keshra told her officers. "We outnumber them 50-1. But when the Vorthon fleet arrived at Kepler 4 for to be, they found something impossible. The planet was already occupied by a huge human defense fleet. Thousands of ships surrounded the world in perfect defensive positions. "How did they get here so fast?" Keshra's science officer asked. "Sir, according to these readings, these ships have been here for over 20 years. That's impossible. This attack was planned in secret just 2 weeks ago." What Admiral Keshra didn't understand was that humans had attacked her fleet in the past. 20 years ago, human time ships had traveled back and established the defense force, knowing that someday the Vorthons would try to attack this world. The same thing happened at every coalition target. Massive alien fleets arrived to find even larger human forces already waiting for them. The humans had fought the battle before it even started, but Admiral Ji-hoon's most devastating weapon was Commander Borum and her special operations team. They used phase-shifting technology that allowed them to exist partially outside normal reality. Commander Borum could walk through solid walls, appear and disappear at will, and attack enemies who couldn't even see her coming. Her team infiltrated coalition command centers like ghosts. On the Hadashi flagship Crystal Symphony, Prime Harmony was coordinating the attack when her officers started collapsing around her. One by one, they fell unconscious for no apparent reason. "Hey, what's happening?" She sang in panic. A human woman materialized in front of her. Commander Borum smiled as she became visible. "Your coordination systems have been sabotaged," Borum explained calmly. "Your ships can no longer communicate with each other." "How did you get on my ship?" "Our sensors detect everything." "Your sensors work in normal spacetime." "We're not entirely in normal spacetime right now." Before Prime Harmony could respond, Borum disappeared again. But the damage was done. Without communication, the Hadashi fleet was blind and helpless. The coalition's offensive lasted exactly 47 minutes. In that time, they lost over half their ships without destroying a single human vessel. The remaining ships retreated. In complete disorder, Emperor Zakthal sat in his command bunker, staring at the reports. His carefully planned attack had become a total disaster. "How many ships did we lose?" he asked his military advisor. 1,236 vessels destroyed or disabled, Your Majesty. The humans lost... ... None. Our weapons? Couldn't even hit them, sir. They seemed to know where we were going to attack before we did." Agent Subin, still disguised as Lieutenant Commander Velsera, brought the Emperor his daily briefings. "Your Majesty, perhaps it's time to consider other options, such as negotiations, sir. The humans clearly don't want to destroy us. If they did, they could have done it already." Emperor Zakthel looked at the tactical displays showing human ships positioned throughout his empire. Subin was right. If humans wanted to conquer the galaxy by force, nothing could stop them. But they weren't conquering. They were demonstrating. They were showing other species that resistance was futile without actually destroying them. "Contact the humans," the Emperor said quietly. "Tell them the Vorthan Empire wishes to discuss terms." On Earth, President Jinwu received reports from all the battle zones. Every coalition attack had been defeated with minimal effort. The alien resistance had collapsed in less than an hour. "Shall we press our advantage, sir?" asked his military advisor. "No, we've made our point. Now we let them think about what they've learned." Jinwu looked at the star charts, showing human forces positioned throughout the galaxy. Phase 4 of his plan could begin soon. But first, the other species needed time to understand their new situation. They needed to understand that fighting humans was impossible. They needed to accept that cooperation was their only option. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's patience was matched only by their power. And both were limitless. The defeat of the coalition changed everything. Within days of their failed attack, smaller alien governments began sending secret messages to human representatives. They wanted to negotiate before it was too late, but some species refused to. "Give up." Elder Mind Speaker Thrum gathered the most powerful psychic minds of the Melody Collective in their sacred chamber. The room was filled with floating crystals that amplified mental energy. Hundreds of Melody sat in meditation, their consciousness linked together. "We will try one final attack," Thrum announced to the collective mind. "We will strike directly at the human leaders' minds. If we can control their thoughts, we can control their entire species." The Melody had never failed in a psychic assault. Every species they had encountered could be dominated mentally. Humans would be no different, or so they thought. The collective focused all their mental power on President Jinwu, who was meeting with his advisors on Earth. Thousands of alien minds reached across space to invade the human leaders' thoughts. But when their psychic attack hit Jinwu's mind, something terrible happened. Instead of breaking through his mental defenses, the attack bounced back like light reflecting off a mirror. The reflected psychic energy struck the Melody Collective with devastating force. But it wasn't just their own power returning to them. Somehow, humans had amplified it and made it stronger. Elder Thrum screamed as his mind was torn apart by his own reflected thoughts. Around him, other Melody collapsed as feedback tore through their shared consciousness. Some went insane. Others fell into comas they would never wake up from. The psychic backlash spread through every Melody world like a mental plague. In minutes, the most powerful telepathic species in the galaxy was reduced to scattered groups of confused individuals who could barely think for themselves. On Earth, President Jinwu didn't even notice the attack. Human mental shields had become so advanced that alien psychic assaults felt like gentle breezes. "Sir," his aide reported, "the Melody Collective has just suffered total psychic collapse. Their government no longer exists." Jinwu nodded calmly. "Send medical aid to their worlds. We don't want them to suffer unnecessarily." While the Melody destroyed themselves, Director Sunga was overseeing humanity's most ambitious project yet. Human engineers were systematically replacing the galaxy's communication networks with their own advanced systems. Every message, every data transmission, every piece of information that moved between the stars now passed through human-controlled relay stations. Aliens could still communicate with each other, but humans could read, block, or modify any transmission they wanted. Dr. Chongman led the engineering teams that installed the new systems. The work was incredibly complex, but human technology made it look easy. Old alien communication satellites were replaced with devices so small they were almost invisible. "Status report," Director Sunga asked as she visited the main control center. 93% of galactic communications are now under our control, Dr. Changman reported. The remaining 7% will be completed within the week. Any resistance from the aliens? Some of the Hedashi complained, but they stopped when we showed them how much faster our systems work. Their messages now arrive in minutes instead of days. The new communication network gave humans an incredible advantage. They knew everything that was happening in the galaxy before alien governments did. They could stop enemy coordination before it started, but humanity's most devastating weapon was still to come. Trade Minister G1 stood before the Galactic Commerce Council on the trade world of Mercetus Prime. Representatives from hundreds of different species filled the massive auditorium. They were all worried about their economic future. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all classifications, G1 began. I am here to introduce you to the future of manufacturing and trade. She activated a device on the stage. It was a simple gray box about the size of a desk. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then G1 spoke a command. Create 100 standard food ration packages. The box hummed quietly for a few seconds. Then a panel opened, and 100 perfectly packaged meals appeared inside. The entire process took less than 30 seconds. The audience gasped. Some representatives stood up to get a better look. This is a molecular assembler, Giwan explained. It can create any object you need from basic raw materials. Food, tools, weapons, even complex electronic devices. Everything is built from individual atoms. She gave another command. Create a standard Vorthon military communicator. The box produced a perfect copy of a Vorthon military radio. It was identical to the original in every way, but it had been built in 15 seconds instead of the hours it would normally take. The implications should be obvious, G1 continued. Any species that adopts this technology will no longer need to import manufactured goods. They can make everything they need locally. The trade representatives looked sick. Interstellar commerce was the foundation of galactic civilization. If every world could make its own products, the entire economy would collapse. Of course, G1 added with a smile. This technology is only available to species that maintain friendly relations with humanity. The message was clear. Work with humans and prosper. Resist them and watch your economy crumble. President In-ho appeared on communication screens throughout the galaxy that evening. His message was broadcast simultaneously in over 4,000 languages to every inhabited world. People of the galaxy, he began, humanity offers you a choice. Accept our leadership and benefit from our technology, or continue living in the past while others advance beyond you. The broadcast showed images of worlds that had already accepted human guidance. The planets looked like paradise. Cities floated in the air powered by clean energy. Disease and hunger had been eliminated. People lived for hundreds of years in perfect health. This is what we offer to our friends, In-ho continued. Partnership, prosperity, and progress beyond your wildest dreams. Then the images changed too. Show the Melody worlds, where the survivors of the psychic backlash wandered around in confusion, unable to take care of themselves. This is what happens to those who attack us, In-ho said quietly. We do not wish to harm anyone, but we will defend ourselves if necessary. The broadcast ended with a simple statement. Choose wisely. The response was immediate. Within hours, dozens of smaller governments sent messages requesting alliance with humanity. They offered to share resources, provide military bases, and adopt human technology in exchange for protection and advancement. The Aquarian Republic was the first major power to break from the failed coalition. Their leader, Governor Taeyong, announced that his people would fully integrate with human civilization. The humans offer us a future beyond anything we imagined, he declared in a public broadcast. They have shown us technologies that seem like magic. They promise to extend our lifespans, cure our diseases, and eliminate poverty from our worlds. Governor Taeyong was right. Within months of accepting human guidance, Aquarian worlds were transformed. Human medical technology eliminated. Genetic diseases that had plagued the Aquarians for millennia. Human agricultural systems ended food shortages. Human energy systems provided unlimited clean power. Most importantly, humans kept their promises. They didn't conquer the Aquarians or make them slaves. Instead, they treated them as junior partners in building the future. Other species watched the Aquarian transformation with growing envy. If accepting human leadership led to such prosperity, maybe resistance was foolish. But Admiral Sang-min was preparing humanity's final demonstration of power. Something so overwhelming that no species would ever again consider fighting humans. He stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Starshaper, watching a uninhabited star system through the main viewer. The system had been carefully chosen, contained no planets with life, but it was visible from dozens of inhabited worlds. "All systems ready, Admiral," his science officer reported. "Begin the demonstration," Sangman ordered. The Starshaper fired a single beam of energy at the system's star. The beam was invisible to normal sensors, but its effects were spectacular. The star began to age rapidly. In minutes, it expanded from a normal yellow sun into a red giant. Then it continued growing, becoming unstable as its nuclear processes accelerated beyond normal limits. On worlds throughout the region, astronomers watched in horror as the star exploded in a supernova. The explosion was visible even in daylight, a new sun burning in the sky where none had been before. Admiral Sangmin sent a message to every government in the galaxy. "Humanity can create or destroy stars at will. We prefer to create. The choice is yours." The demonstration had its intended effect. The remaining members of the coalition sent urgent messages, requesting immediate peace talks. Emperor Zakthol was the first to officially surrender. "The Vorthon Empire acknowledges human supremacy," he announced. "We request terms for peaceful coexistence." Prime Harmony of the Hadeshi sang her surrender in harmonies of defeat. "The crystalline collective submits to human authority," we ask. "Only for mercy." The resistance was over. Out. Humanity had won without firing a shot in anger, without conquering a single world by force. They had simply demonstrated that opposition was impossible. The signing ceremony took place in the rebuilt United Nations building in Geneva, Earth, for the first time in over 1,000 years. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy gathered on the human homeworld. The building itself was a demonstration of human advancement. It floated 3 kilometers above the ground, held up by invisible force fields. The walls were made of a transparent material, stronger than steel, that could change color and opacity with a thought. Emperor Zakthal walked slowly up the steps, leading to the main assembly hall. He had ruled the Vorthon Empire for 60 years, and had never felt so small. Around him, human security guards stood perfectly still, but he knew they could move faster than his eyes could follow if needed. "Welcome to Earth, Your Majesty," said the human guide, who met him at the entrance. "Chancellor Minho is waiting to meet with you before the ceremony." Chancellor Minho had been chosen as humanity's galactic administrator. He would oversee the integration of all alien species into the new order. He was a calm man in his middle years, who spoke softly but carried the authority of the most powerful species in the universe. "Emperor Zakthal," Minho said as they met in a private room. "Thank you for coming. I know this is difficult for your people." "We had no choice," Zakthal replied honestly. "Your demonstration with the star made it clear that further resistance would be suicide." "We prefer cooperation to destruction," Minho said. "Your empire has skills and knowledge that will benefit everyone. We don't want to rule over you." "Want to work with you? What does that mean exactly?" Minho activated a holographic display showing the Vorthon star systems. "Your people will keep control of your internal affairs. You choose your own leaders, make your own laws, and govern your own worlds. But all interstellar matters will be managed by humanity, such as trade between star systems, military conflicts between species, technology distribution, resource allocation on a galactic scale." Minho paused. "Think of humanity as the galaxy's government, and individual species as states or provinces within that government." Emperor Zahithal considered this. It was better than he had expected. His people would survive and maintain some independence. Prime Harmony of the Hadeshi had a similar meeting with Director Yansu, who would manage the integration of different species into the new galactic society. "Your people are natural traders and communicators," Director Yansu explained. "We want to enhance those abilities, not replace them." "How?" "We'll teach you to build ships that can travel anywhere in the galaxy instantly. We'll give you communication technology that works faster than light. We'll show you how to create trade goods that are impossible with current technology." Prime Harmony's crystal body chimed with cautious hope. "And in return, you help us establish peaceful relationships with species we haven't contacted yet." You use your trading networks to spread human technology to worlds that are ready for it. You become our partners in building a better galaxy. The main ceremony began at sunset. The assembly hall was filled with hundreds of beings from dozens of different species. Some looked nervous, others looked defeated. A few looked hopeful. President Jinwu stepped up to the podium to address the gathering. Behind him, a massive window showed the lights of the rebuilt city of Geneva. In the distance, construction robots were building new structures that seemed to grow from the ground like living things. Today marks the beginning of a new age, Jinwu began. Years this galaxy has been divided by conflict, limited by primitive technology, and held back by the fear of change. He gestured to the alien representatives in the audience. Each of your species has unique gifts. The Vorthines are natural warriors and explorers. The Hadeshi are master traders and communicators. The Aquarians are brilliant artists and philosophers. Even the Malady, despite their recent troubles, have insights into consciousness that could benefit everyone. Humanity offers to amplify these gifts. We can make Vorthan warriors nearly invincible. We can give Hadeshi trader ships that cross the galaxy in minutes. We can provide Aquarian artists with tools to create beauty beyond imagination. Ginwu's voice became more serious. But this is not conquest. This is evolution. We are offering every species the chance to become more than they ever thought possible. The Galactic Accords were signed by every species present. The document was simple but comprehensive. It established humanity as the controlling authority for interstellar affairs while guaranteeing internal autonomy for each species. More importantly, it outlined the process by which alien species could gradually gain access to human technology based on their demonstrated ability. To use it responsibly, Ambassador Junho was put in charge of the first mixed species colonies. These would be test cases to see how well different species could work together. Under human guidance, the first colony was established on a previously uninhabitable world in the Kepler system. Using human terraforming technology, the planet was transformed into a garden world in just 6 months. Volunteers from 12 different species came to live there. Humans provided the advanced technology and overall guidance. Orthons handled security and exploration. Hadeshi managed trade and communication. Aquarians designed the cities and cultural centers. The result was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. The colony world became a paradise, where beings from different species worked together on projects that benefited everyone. Disease was eliminated by human medical technology. Hunger was ended by matter replicators that could create any food needed. Energy was unlimited thanks to fusion reactors that drew power from seawater. Most amazingly, the human longevity treatments were shared with colonists from other species. Beings who normally live for 50 or 60 years found their lifespans extended to hundreds of years. They remained healthy and strong, far beyond their normal aging. Dr. Seelman established the Great Archive Project in a massive facility orbiting Earth. The archive would record everything that had happened in the galaxy during humanity's absence. We must remember this time, Dr. Seelman explained to her research team. We must understand what went wrong before we withdrew and what happened while we were gone. The archive became a library of galactic history unlike anything that had existed before. It contained detailed records of every species, every war, every technological development, every cultural achievement of the past 1,000 years. But more than just a record of the past, the archive was a guide for the future. It helped human administrators understand the needs and abilities of different species. It showed which technologies would be most beneficial to each group. Years passed, and the new galactic order settled into place. Species that had been enemies for centuries learned to work together under human guidance. Technologies that had been impossible became routine. The first intergalactic exploration. Ships were launched from secret human shipyards. These vessels were designed to travel to other galaxies and make contact with whatever species they might find there. Emperor Myung-Soo, who would become the supreme leader of the Human Federation, gave his final address to the galaxy from the same United Nations building where the Accords had been signed. 5 years ago, humanity returned to galactic affairs, he said. We found a galaxy divided by conflict and limited by outdated thinking. Today, we have a galaxy united in purpose and unlimited in potential. Behind him, the windows showed views of dozens of worlds, cities that floated in the air, oceans that had been restored to dead planets, forests that grew in perfect harmony with advanced technology. This is only the beginning, Myung-Soo continued. We have restored peace to this galaxy, but there are other galaxies waiting to be explored. There are other species waiting to join our growing community. The images changed to show the massive construction projects that were underway. Space habitats larger than moons, shipyards that built vessels capable of traveling between galaxies, research stations that studied the fundamental forces of the universe. The age of limitation is over, Myung-Soo declared. The age of expansion has begun. Together we will spread life and civilization to every corner of the universe. As the ceremony ended, the representatives from different species looked up at the night sky with new understanding. The stars were no longer distant lights. They were destinations waiting to be reached. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had liberated it from its own limitations. And now, with all species working together, there was no limit to what they could achieve. The galaxy was united under human leadership, but this was only the beginning of a much larger story. Soon, humanity and their alien partners would reach out to other galaxies, spreading their advanced civilization across the entire universe. The age of hiding was over. The age of galactic dominance had begun. And beyond that, the age of universal expansion awaited. In the end, humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as teachers. They had shown the galaxy what was possible when fear and division were replaced by cooperation and shared knowledge. The final human had never really perished. They had simply been waiting for the right moment to change everything.